Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a close look at a really interesting area, the global market for short fiber thermoplastics,
Right.
looking specifically at 2025 and the years ahead.
Yeah, we've got this recent market report. Lots of data in there.
And our mission really is to pull out the key insights for you. We want to cover how big the market is now, where it's heading.
Who the main players are, region by region, and sort of what's driving it all.
Exactly. Think of it as getting a clear snapshot of a key material in, well, modern manufacturing.
What it is, where it's going, and fundamentally why you should maybe care about it.
And the picture this report paints is pretty significant right from the start. It's projecting the global market at, what, USD 240 million in 2025?
That's the number. And looking out further towards 2033, it's expected to climb to USD 478.63 million.
Okay, so that's quite a jump. And the growth rate?
The compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, they're forecasting is 4.70% between 2025 and 2033.
4.7%.
Yeah.
That signals pretty strong, consistent demand, doesn't it?
It does. And, these aren't just numbers pulled out of thin air. They're using 2024 as the base year.
Right.
And they've looked at historical data from 2021 onwards to establish the trend.
So why should you, the listener, be interested in all this? Well, whether you're involved in product design, maybe manufacturing, or just curious about the materials making up our world. This market is a key indicator. These short fiber thermoplastics, they're helping make things lighter, stronger, more efficient across loads of industries.
Precisely. I mean, these materials are a great example of how material science advancements actually translate into, real improvements in everyday things, cars, gadgets, you name it.
Okay, let's dig into the global picture then. How do the different regions compare? The report says North America is, well, a major player right now.
Yeah, it's holding the biggest piece of the pie, over 40% of global revenue in 2025.
That translates to nearly $1.2 billion. USD live in 198.80 million.
That's it. But what's interesting is, while they lead in size, the projected growth, that CAGR, is around 3.5% through 2033. A bit more, let's say, measured compared to some other areas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And within North America?
The U.S. is the powerhouse, no surprise. About 946 million in 2025, market size-wise, driven by that ongoing need for lightweight, durable stuff.
Right.
Canada and Mexico are seeing decent growth, too, around 4.3% and 4.0% CAGR, respectively. It sort of suggests the market there is perhaps quite mature already.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, another big slice.
Yep, over 30% of global revenue in 2025. So
Yeah.
that's about USD 940 million.
And the growth rate there?
Similar to North America, actually, around 3.5% CAGR projected.
What's driving it in Europe?
Well, their strong automotive industry is a huge factor, plus aerospace, electronics. You've got major economies like Germany, the UK, France leading the way. Germany's market alone is around 186 million in 2025.
And even some smaller countries showing good growth.
Yeah, like Luxembourg, surprisingly high growth rate there, 3.8%. It seems the big trends in Europe are, improving mechanical properties for fuel efficiency in cars, and also that big push towards sustainability.
Okay. Now, you mentioned some regions growing faster. Where's the real heat?
That would be Asia Pacific.
APAC.
Right. What's their share currently?
Around 23% in 2025, which is about USD 778 million. But here's the kicker. Their projected CAGR is 7.4%.
7.4. Wow, that's significantly higher.
It really is. Makes them the fastest growing region by quite a margin.
So what's fueling that fire?
It's a combination of things, really. Rapid industrialization in many countries, booming automotive production, big infrastructure projects. China's obviously huge, about 327 million in 2025. But look at India. Their projected CAGR is 9.3%.
9.3. That's the highest national rate mentioned so far.
Exactly. It really points to a massive expansion in manufacturing and demand for these advanced materials across the region. Plus, focus on domestic manufacturing, sustainability awareness.
Yeah.
It all adds up. Okay, fascinating. What about South America?
South America represents a smaller chunk, just over 5% of global revenue in 2025. That's about USD 123 million.
And their growth.
Pretty solid, actually. A CAGR of 5.0% is projected. Brazil and Argentina are the main markets there.
Driven by similar factors. Automotive, consumer goods.
Yeah, increasing demand in automotive, aerospace, consumer goods, plus, growing local car production, infrastructure investments.
Got it. And the Middle East.
They're around 2% of the global share in 2025, roughly USD 130 million. But again, decent growth projected 5.2% CAGR.
Key players there.
Saudi Arabia and the UAE are significant. Growth drivers include automotive, construction, electronics, also expanding manufacturing, and, interestingly, the availability of raw materials from the petrochemical sector.
Right, that makes sense. Lastly, Africa.
The smallest regional market currently, around 1% share in 2025, or about USD 71 million.
With a CAGR of.
Projected at 4.4%, South Africa holds the largest share within the continent, followed by Nigeria.
And the story there.
Yeah.
Similar pattern.
Pretty much. Increasing industrialization, expansion in automotive, electronics, construction, leading to a growing need for cost-effective, better-performing materials, plus infrastructure investments are helping too.
Okay, that gives us a really good map of the world. Now, let's break down the market itself. What kinds of materials are we actually talking about? The report splits it by resin type, reinforcement, and end use.
Exactly. So, starting with the resin type that's the base plastic, the report says polypropylene, or PP, is dominant.
PP, why is that so popular?
Well, think of it as the workhorse. It hits a sweet spot, good balance of properties, it's cost-effective, easy to process, just a solid all-rounder.
Makes sense. But is anything challenging it?
Definitely. Polyamide, which most people know as nylon, is the fastest growing segment.
Ah, nylon.
Mm.
Why the faster growth there?
It just offers, well, superior properties in some areas, better strength, higher heat resistance, still lightweight. So for more demanding applications, it's increasingly the go-to choice.
And there are others too, like PBT, PEEK.
Yep, PBT, PEEK, even PET. They have their specific niches where their particular properties shine.
Okay, so that's the base plastic. What about the reinforcement, the fibers mixed in?
Right, the reinforcement. Here, glass fiber is king.
Why glass?
Again, it's that combination of factors. It gives a really good boost to strength and durability, and it's relatively cheap. You find it everywhere.
But just like with the resins, there's a faster growing alternative.
Exactly. Carbon fiber.
Okay, carbon fiber, we hear a lot about that. Super strong, super light.
Precisely. Exceptionally light, incredibly strong, but it's more expensive.
Ah, the catch.
Yeah. So you tend to see it mainly in high-performance areas where every gram counts, and cost is less of an issue. Think advanced automotive aerospace components.
Right. Which leads us nicely into the end uses. Where are all these reinforced plastics actually going?
The biggest consumer by far is transportation, so automotive and aerospace primarily.
No surprise there, given the push for lightweighting.
Absolutely. Making vehicles lighter for fuel efficiency, lower emissions. It's a massive driver. These materials are used in, bumpers, dashboards, interior panels, loads of places.
And the report highlights automotive specifically.
Yes, it calls out the automotive sector as the fastest growing end-use segment overall for these materials. Just think about how much lighter cars are today compared to, say, 20 years ago. These materials are a big reason why.
And aerospace and defense is also growing fast.
Yeah, also flagged as a rapidly growing sector. Makes perfect sense. Weight reduction is absolutely critical in aircraft for fuel savings and performance.
Beyond transport, where else are they used?
We see a lot in consumer goods. Think appliance housings, power tool bodies, also electrical and electronics connectors, casings, that sort of thing. And then there's another's category, which includes things like construction and the machinery industry.
Okay. So if we try to boil it down, what are the main engines driving this whole market forward?
Number one is definitely that automotive lightweighting push. Better fuel economy, lower emissions. That's huge, right?
And you've got the broader sustainability trend. More focus on recyclable, eco-friendly materials.
Okay.
And don't forget the manufacturing side. The ability to produce high volumes of parts, often at a lower cost compared to, say, metal or other composites.
Of course, it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the bumps in the road? The restraints?
Well, sometimes the cost of the raw materials themselves or the processing can be a bit high, limiting affordability in some cases. And while they offer a great mix of properties for applications needing, the absolute ultimate in strength or toughness, other materials like continuous fiber composites might still have the edge.
Makes sense. And looking ahead, what key trends should we be watching?
The demand for recyclable and especially bio-based thermoplastics is a big one. That's only going to grow.
Sustainability again.
Exactly. And we'll just continue to see automotive and aerospace pushing the boundaries on weight reduction, which will drive more innovation.
Finally, who are the main companies navigating this space? It sounds competitive. Oh, it is. You've got major global chemical and materials giants involved. Companies like BASF, Arkema, LanXess, Solvay, Avient, Toray.
Big names.
Yeah, Sumitomo Chemical, Victrex, Sumitomo Bakelite, Avenerico. the list goes on. They're all investing heavily in R&D, making strategic partnerships, expanding production.
The report mentions a couple of examples, right? LanXSS expanding its Tepex line.
Yes, in June 2022, they added new sustainable options using polyamide resin, a perfect example of hitting both performance and sustainability demands.
And BASF increasing prices.
Yeah, February 2022, they raised prices for their thermoplastic polyurethanes, shows how raw material costs can ripple through the market.
Okay, great context. Let's try and summarize the key takeaways from this deep dive.
Sure. I think the main points are the global short fiber thermoplastics market is seeing steady, solid growth.
Driven mainly by
Primarily the need for lighter, high-performance materials, especially from automotive and aerospace.
regionally.
Asia-Pacific is the growth engine, growing fastest. North America still holds the largest market share for now.
And material-wise.
Polypropylene and glass fiber are the current mainstays, the dominant choices. But keep an eye on polyamide or nylon and carbon fiber. They're growing fast in more demanding applications.
So for you, the listener, tracking these trends gives you a real sense of where material innovation is heading and how it affects so many industries.
Right?
That demand for lighter, stronger, and importantly more sustainable materials is clearly a powerful force shaping how things get made.
It really is. And it actually raises a pretty interesting thought to leave people with.
Oh.
Yeah. With all this focus on sustainability and the sheer speed of material science advancements, you have to wonder, right? Could we see totally new types of reinforcement fibers, maybe things we haven't even considered yet, or completely different base plastics emerging in the next decade?
Beyond just tweaking glass and carbon.
Exactly. Could something entirely new come along and really shake up this market? It's definitely something to think about.